Hey everyone, what is going on? Today, putting a new radio in the Saturn. Alright, so besides picking up a radio, some things you're going to need is you are going to need the adapter plastic kit, and one thing a lot of people overlook is a connector. Now this connector means I can take the connector from the radio, wire it together outside of the car, and then just plug it into the OEM wiring and plug it into the radio. These things are not that expensive, and why people just don't get them and just hardwire them into the OEM harness is beyond me. Because then if you ever want to change the radio, and say you go to a Kenwood or Alpine and it's not a JVC, you got to redo all that wiring instead of just reusing the clip. So I'm going to pull the old one out now and get started. Alright, here is the factory Saturn radio. Basically the problem with this one is sometimes the display will just stop working. It will just go completely blank. So we're going to pull it out now. And there it is out. These wires were added on for turning on and off the amp. Alright, so you need a 7mm. Don't want to drop the screws down inside the center console. Now you have both screws out, and pull it out. Pull out your antenna, pull out your ground, your radio plug. We had put iSimple in this car, and it worked all right, except we always found that the connector ends would break. But basically it was two parts. There was this part, which all this was is it allowed iPod to RCAs, and it gave you a power and ground so that you could actually charge while you were using it. The other part is this box, which it basically, the antenna plugged into it, and then it went and plugged into the factory radio antenna slot, and it took the RCAs and converted it to a radio signal, and whenever you would turn it on, we had a little switch, it would you would just use like an FM like 88.3 or 87.9 depending on what you selected, and that's how you would listen to iPod or auxiliary through factory radio. So the first thing I need to do is repair where we spliced in for power for that this whole iTunes box thing. So now that we repaired the power, we will just kind of double check the radio and make sure that it works before we go to put the new radio in. Already have the clock on. Alright. So now well, we have the wire back to all factory. We can continue. So I picked up this here radio to JVC as I'm losing all the pieces. And I picked it up for 94 bucks. It's CD and it has auxiliary in, antenna spot, but pretty nice looking. It was 94 bucks basically because it was the display. So I actually got to play around with it. I know it works. There's your USB, there's your auxiliary. Alright, so this is the clip to the OEM plug. This is the radio harness. I'm not going to film this on camera, but basically I got to match all these wires. They're all color coded, and crimp them all together. So should be fun. Alright, so now I have all the wires color combo together. I have my amp switch set up, which will plug in there. We'll leave that unplugged for now. So now I can plug the radio in and test it out. Alright, so got the harness all set up. There was a little instructions depending on which of your Saturn where you had to remove the pin and swap it for power. But it works. So now we have to open up the plastic kit here and sort this all together. Alright, so there is the assembled new head unit in the bracketry. So now we just got to plug everything in. Let's not get a copyright strike. So, radio works. I don't know what I did with the button to fill that hole right now, so I'm just going to leave this in there for now. We'll plug in the hazards, test them, and pop the jet dash back in. And there we have it. I even have the dimmer set up. The colors go with the car pretty well. So the old radio, I'm going to pop in a cupboard, and when we sell this, I'll just pop that radio in and keep this one. So that's the one thing that's nice about using that harness. So like and subscribe. Until next time.